on yet? Okay, we're on yet. You know, it seems like I just can't win with anyone. Nope, not at all. Because I'm sitting there, made a couple really harsh videos recently. Well, one harsh one and then a joke one. But then, no sooner do I say that and talk about, all the ranty things that frigging I would put an iron fist down upon. And then I get into a conversation with somebody who is an economic conservative. I mean, we surely agree on cultural Marxism. Maybe him a little bit more. But all in all, on the conservative side of economics, I'm like, okay, you know, I get supply and demand and everything, and I can see entitlement and enablement and all those things and redistribution of wealth and everything, but it's like I'm a futurist. So I want a near post scarcity society. Okay, post scarcity is like when you have so much resources, and that's not just energy, but things like land, labor, intelligence, or information, and materials, then you can have a post scarcity society. But see, you'll never really have that if you just have like universal energy. And I've tried to argue with people online about this. You know, I was on some uh, uh, video about Tesla. I was in the comment section, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, if we had friggin' Tesla's energy, everything would be so much better." And I go, "No, they just create artificial scarcity and friggin' make everything the way they was and just profit from it, or the population would go out the roof. And either way, you would still have problems with other resources, like land, cheap labor, other things. Because even if you build machines to friggin', do everything for you, you're still gonna have to have somebody somewhere managing those machines, you know, unless you create machines that make machines, and then you might have a problem with friggin' the machines not needing you. Hasta la vista, baby. So really, I'm talking to this guy about economic conservativeness, and it's like, well, yeah, it's about resources. And I want a near post scarcity society. So in a video before, I'm making all this talk about, we should build border prison gulags and curb immigration and a whole bunch of other shit that I kind of meant, but the way I meant it was, and probably always will, is that I mean it in the context of achieving economic progressive near post scarcity living, standards of culture. So with those, it's a back and forth. I've always talked about social deregulation being a shift, that's shift, mind you, although I could call it other things, between what I see as a redundancy of the statism of cultural Marxism and the nanny state in social situations that needs to be somewhat deregulated down to a minimum of functional government. And this is to promote individualism, but it can be better benchmarked by economic standards because that essentially follows the life course. And the life course is bringing from birth to the grave, with also as minimal as amount as intrusion as possible, but that will generally be on the progressive side because you will need a statist bubble, and I think that's a national boundary bubble to create a functional state of standard of living. And that means that things like prisons will be rehabilitation centers, but they won't be social programs that rely on egalitarian ideas, but instead will have funding and resources to be actual rehabilitation by the resource rich applications that are put into them. Plenty of guards, plenty of prisons, a lot of friggin' time and space to chill out and think. You know? And I think, and so along the line it goes. And all this can be achieved by various applications and ideas of rearranging how we allocate our resource and infrastructure. How we advocate it. I've stumbled over my words, but it's like, how do you put the pieces of the friggin' puzzle together culturally? And how do you make the patchwork quilt of civil engineering function better? And I would say one way is that periodically in every country you close up shop and you do a little housekeeping. Some cities have sewer systems that are like from the 1870s that are made out of wood. I mean, there's nothing wrong with something that works. There's nothing wrong with something retro if it functions well. But if it's continually having to be in a state of repair because it's on the brink of disrepair perpetually, then it's not worth it. Because everything we use, when we use a non-renewable resource, either culturally or physically by the infrastructure, is one less thing we have to advocate or allocate for the betterment of people. And that includes things like bigger, better prisons that are less crowded, that serve a function of taking care of the citizenry, like people with mental illnesses or people that need medical help, and sort those out from people warehouses, in other words. Now, maybe that's progressive, but it's a little conservative. There always is a little conservative and a little progressive in anything I say. Always. Because, well, that's just the way I roll. You know? So I think if we're going to change anything, we have to change it with the consideration of the other side. And not everything that's represented by the faction that is in control on that side is the be all and end all of those concepts. There's a lot of things in conservancy that could be better represented by a different application than the ones in power now. And it's way true that there's a lot of things in progressiveness that could also be said for the same. So I think that's what I stand for. Maybe not a third way politics, but if you could imagine it, a fourth way. A way that's been underrepresented. And frankly, if it's ever really truly been represented at all, it's so starved out that only fringe elements and opportunists and collectivists ever really use it. I would never call myself a race nationalist. I'm not even sure I like the term nationalist anymore, because it's got ideas about authoritarian conservative social conservancy that I just do not like at all. But I do like the idea of fixing a nation's infrastructure and making that functional at the exclusion of international concerns. So if that's frigging regressive mid-century modern kind of populux idealism, then I guess I'm guilty as the modernist I am. Because I sure can't support this postmodernist ideas. If the architecture does not friggin' hold, the ideas are faulty. Buildings going all different ways and fractals, freaking. No, 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 no. Uh, I'm a modernist, not a postmodernist. For me, it's Googie all the way. That's it.